depression and metaphysics, that being the topic of today's discussion. I had an experience, I have a history of a version of self that is very depressed and had all of these emotional maladies and illusions of suffering due to the perceptions of things that have happened in the past, all of which is for your gain and is for your growth, as I've realized. And I felt a bout of that about to on set. And I decided that apart from the experiences themselves, life gives us highs and lows, and how we decide to respond to them is a declaration as to if we're free or not. If I resist, if I evade, if I avoid, if I'm upset, if I'm frustrated, if I'm resisting, do you see eventually, those words start to build into each other. If I'm resisting, then I'm not free of the slavery of that perception. But if things can come and if they can go, and if they can be here and if they can not be here, and if they can flow and move, and if things are, allowed to be in and out as they are naturally, anything, then that's an indication of if you're free from that particular situation. And I felt myself just feeling like nothing was even happening, just feeling those of you that have quote unquote been diagnosed with, different things, you understand probably that it doesn't necessarily have to be triggered by like an outside event. So I find myself starting to feel down for really no reason. There's nothing happening. And I just decided, I really truly just decided, you're watching Divine Within, by the way. I'm an entity named Lucian. And here in these transmissions, which I thank you for co-creating, we discuss the power within, the kingdom within, and that reality bends from wherewithal within. So I just decided that abundance is natural. Abundance is plenty. Everything is here now. So any perception of lack is a perception that has been labeled wrongly. That you're full of everything all the time. So the problem is, and this is what I want you to get out of this video, it's very short, is that you've got a vat, or I imagine it is kind of like one of those containers for toxic sludge. But hell, make it a cup in your mind. Fine. You've got a cup in your mind. That, at least this is what I found out about myself. I had a cup in my mind labeled depression because it had been such a familiar experience for me. But in the universe, there's plenty of everything. There's plenty of everything. So with there being plenty of everything, if I, within myself, and again, this is a transmission, so it's not so much the words I'm speaking, but the content of what I'm attempting to convey to you, it's not, I'm not talking about something conceptual, although we have to use the medium of words. If there's a cup within me that says depression on it, it will be filled. It will be filled. All the cups that you say, imagine each cup with a label on it. And the cups that you have in your cupboard, your conscious mind, were given to you by way of conditioning. So I had a cup in my cupboard labeled depression, and it was starting to fill for no fucking reason because there's so much of everything. You are never lacking anything. The only thing you can perceive of an abundance of lack, meaning if you have a cup in your cupboard of the mind that is filled and says lack on it, you'll be filled with lack, which is a profound experience of lack. But within the substance of that profound experience is plenty. Is all of it. It's everything. So it's talking about a kind of fullness that is presented to you actually in all areas of life. So I started to become full with this depressive experience simply because it had been familiar to me. And there is nothing depressing. I don't have any reason. And of course, you talk about, memories and structure of the mind, but I don't believe in any of that anymore. So, I know the memory is as good as what I construct it to be, and I'm certainly not going to continuously reconstruct negative memories. Why would I do that? Because that's going to lead to a negative self-concept, which I've had before. It doesn't feel very good because it's all really, truly, all of this is about the feeling. It's about feeling. So if you feel bad all the time, it appears as though it has to do with the circumstances, the environment, or the economics, be they civil economics or personal economics. Whatever is happening that appears as negative out there is something that is happening within you. A version of it, the substance of that energy is happening within you. And one thing that's weird, and this is, so I've had the concept for 2 years that there are these different timelines and everything's happening all at once, and you're only experiencing what you agree to. And I've known that conceptually, and I've been teaching that conceptually, and I work in the field of mental wellness, and I have for the last 7 years. So in various different levels, I'm always talking about, maybe not with those words, but how things maybe are not as continuous as they appear to be, not unless we consent and really almost in a way mandate and force them to be as such. And I've been having some really strange experiences. It's just particularly with like the kinds of conversations I have with one person. It's almost like we completely disagree on, and I have an impeccable memory. It's almost like we completely disagree on the contents of certain conversations. And I'm like, and nothing to do with the other person. This is me reflecting back to myself that like none of this is continuous. None of it matters. And what's revealing about this is because it's like, oh, well, we had a conversation about, something's just mundane, it's just everyday, whatever. It's not like these are life or death types of exchanges between myself and this person. So it's because it's nothing important. It's because the mundane, the small aspects of life seem to just be flickering in and out. They seem to just be a matter of whatever the energy is at that time. It has nothing to do with anything that is gripped on to a continuous span of quote unquote time. So it's all here now. If you're thinking that there's not enough love, or there's not enough money, or there's not enough security, or there's not enough patience, or there's not enough care, or there's not enough integrity, whatever you think that there's not enough of, there is only a fullness of that not enoughness. So what you have to do, what you gotta do, I'm gonna smash that cup labeled depression on the counter. Again, I'm not talking about physical things happening, but I decided that if I decide that I think about it as like a cavity, a receptacle within myself through which depression can be born, I must get rid of that cavity. I have to get rid of that cavity, much like we do with our mouths. I've got to get rid of that pit I don't actually really know what a cavity is, but I guess I know you get it from like too much candy, but like medically I actually don't know like what actually qualifies for that. But I've got to get this well of poison out of myself, because if there's plenty of everything, if I've got a well of poison within myself, that well will fill.